and it's 10 a.m. on the West Coast out in Seattle, and what I would like to offer is a holiday Thursday in North America for everybody getting about a half a foot out the door today and a complete foot out the door tomorrow for the Labor Day weekend. So first and foremost, thank you for your time on, I get it. It's for many people the traditional end of summer. Now summer does go on for a little while longer till September 21st. But I understand, and the kids are going back to school and so on. This is our third quarter briefing, and I appreciate your time. We have an audience today of SMB Nation tribal members as well as new friends from the XP Migration community and the Peer Group community. Hey, if I could have everybody mute in the background, I'm getting a slight echo. Thank you very much, and let's jump right into it. So we have an agenda today. We're first going to talk about SMB Nation Peer Groups. We're going to talk about XP Migrations. We're going to talk about a class action settlement that's a little bit more than pocket change for you just to take a few minutes to fill out a form. And then other news as we call it. But I do want to clarify one thing. This webinar is for partners, IT guys, VARs, VAPs, resellers, IT pros, computer guys and gals. This webinar is not for customers. Yesterday we had the webinar for customers, and customers can learn more from yesterday's webinar here. Basically, if you go to the xpmigrations.com page and click events, I hear Chris in the background. Chris, you're right on time. Who is the generous underwriter of today's webinar? And by the way, good morning and good afternoon, Chris.
Thank you, Harry. Today's webinar is being subsidized by Kroll OnTrack. Kroll OnTrack has forensic recovery services for drives that have been caught in fires, dropped downstairs, thrown across the street, demagnetized, etc. I do recommend that you go to KrollOnTrack.com and get signed up as a partner. Of course, it doesn't cost anything, and they've got a recovery kit and onboarding package that they send out to you. Drive disasters are something that you rarely have to do, recovering a burnt-out drive. But when it does happen, it's great to already be signed up with someone instead of willy-nilly looking around on Google for the cheapest vendor. So please go to KrollOnTrack.com, sign up for their partner program, and find out more. Thanks, Harry.
All right, Chris. Thank you very much, and have a good one down in Vero Beach, Florida. We'll talk to you a little bit later today. Thank you so much for dropping by. And let's move on, folks. We're now going to talk about SMB Nation. So I wanted to take a moment to introduce SMB Nation with a hero slide. And the reason is again, we have some new friends joining us from the XP Migrations community who maybe don't know a whole lot about SMB Nation. So we're a 14-year-old company, and we're a community. I like to emphasize we're a community. It might be easy to confuse us as being a media integration company like a Ziff Davis or a AOL, Time Warner, or what have you. And that's not really where we come from. I'm technical. I'm geeking in the background with Link right now on Windows 8.1. My staff is technical, and we like to kind of approach the world that way first and foremost. We're right there with you. We've been recognized in the community, and we've worked in the community with Gateway and Dell and HP and Lenovo and all the others. So if you want to get to know us a little bit better, go to smbnation.com. And secondly, I'd like to introduce myself for those that I haven't met yet. Strangers are just friends that haven't met yet. I've been in the channel for probably far too long than I want to admit, but hey, I got an early start, so the years go quickly. Had the great pleasure of writing a bunch of books on small business server and SMB technology. Just put my name into Amazon.com if you'd like to learn a little bit more about me as an author. And I take education seriously. I enjoy speaking at conferences, and I'm right there with you in earning industry certifications. Now, with that said, we'll get into the good stuff. SMB Nation Peer Groups, we launched it at the Worldwide Partner Conference on July 8th. That was SMB Day. The Worldwide Partner Conference from Microsoft in Houston, Texas this year. And it's just been, as they'd say, it's been dizzy since then. It's been a whirlwind. We have Adam Belinsky from that area, the SMB Nation Peer Groups. Adam, are you there? Good morning.
I am. Good morning.
Hey, Adam, for those that don't know, first of all, maybe introduce yourself, and then we'll jump right into what are peer groups, what are we offering, and why don't you tell about some early wins that we've racked up in the last 6 weeks. So who is Adam?
All right, introduce myself. I'm Adam Belansky. I'm a partner in Baring McKinley. Been doing IT services for a long time, for about 12 years now, and decided to get into the consulting aspect with Josh Peterson, partner with Josh Peterson. Known Josh a very long time, for the whole time, 12 years. And so just recently, we partnered with SMB Nation to do peer groups. And what are we trying to accomplish? And really our big focus is peer-to-peer communication, organization, and tracking where we've been. But the biggest difference between us and competitors would be tracking where our future trending is going to be. And that's where we leverage several of our tools and presentations. And so we have direct connection into financials, and then we present that in a group manner. And some camaraderie, some sharing amongst what works and what doesn't work in different areas. So we're really super excited about this. We've had some phenomenal wins lately. The peer groups, it looks like it's going to be launching our first peer group. We are 2 people short of being completely full. So if you guys are interested in signing up, it is filling rather quickly. We're going to be starting, I believe, the 3rd week of September, and it's going to be in Chicago.
Excellent, excellent. And Adam, so let me put a wrapper around some of this. That the idea of a peer group is typically a experienced, let's just say, partner. If we could all agree on the terminology, let's start with that. One of the earlier slides I showed you listed 6 ways to define the computer guy or computer gal. You know what? And I forgot the 7th. I forgot to put MSP. So let's just agree that we call this individual a partner, a channel partner, and that's going to make the webinar go a whole lot more quickly. So with that said, Adam, what I've typically seen is this is someone who's an experienced partner who has a hunger to grow to the next level, and that's not for everybody. There are people out there that are satisfied with their anywhere from 24 to 36 clients. It's a wonderful lifestyle, and they're happy. But can you tell me maybe a little bit of the demographic of a couple of the people that have signed up? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? And why do they want to grow?
Absolutely. So basically, we have I believe 6 right now in our peer group, and demographics are basically starting, I believe, 250,000 and going up to $1 million, right around that range is our group, and that's really the huge growth area which we're seeing focused. And every single person in our group has a desire to grow even more, and both the $1 million person can learn from the smaller guys, and just because sometimes we forget, our passion. A lot of smaller guys have that drive, passion. It's like, oh, I want to grow to the $1 million, and they think it's easy to make those steps, and so obviously the $1 million company can share some struggles that they're going to experience, and so we can try to avoid those pitfalls. And so that's kind of where we're at. They're spread out all across the United States, and they're not in non-competing markets. So that's the really exciting thing, and this is something where I come from is if you have another company in another area and you have a client that has multiple sites, you can share either like, oh, this guy's in our peer group, let me call this company. I know he'll work with our client and so forth. So it builds a nationwide network as well.
That's right. That's right. And yeah, we typically, you hit the nail on the head. These are for people, I would offer you, you're absolutely right, 250,000 overall company revenue to $1 million, and don't often get as much attention from the vendors and other organizations as they should, and yet they have the desire to grow. And I would call that number one. If I were interviewing someone for peer group membership, which I don't. Maybe I can join you and Josh sometime on one of those recruiting calls. But that would be my first question, Adam. Is what? Do you want to grow? And if you don't, that's okay. But let's not waste our time and money together. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and it's also for the people that don't want to grow. It's not just for people that want to grow. It's basically they want to make their business run more efficiently. They want
Oh,
to
okay.
stay at the $1 million a year. So it can be for both growth and just people that are stagnant, but they also just want to, see what they can do differently or more efficiently, without growth. And some people might have a desire to go golfing more rather than running their business. Well, you can get a lot of those things out of a peer group. It's not just for the people only to grow, which is really exciting. It's just building a camaraderie, growing within the community, but not necessarily you don't have to grow your particular business.
Okay, and I appreciate that clarification. I accept it in the spirit it was delivered, so thank you very much. That's why I'm not in the peer group division right now. Maybe I better stick to what I'm doing best. So, folks, you can learn more about the SMB Nation Peer Groups over at smbnation.com and look at the main menu. Click on Peer Groups, and both Adam and Josh will be happy to reach out to you. And this is exciting. This got legs, and we're super excited about it. So, Adam, I'm going to move on. You're welcome to stay, but thank you very much for educating us on the peer group opportunity, sir. And, hey, have a great Labor Day weekend one way or the other.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's a great opportunity. Thank you.
All righty. All right. So we're going to move on. And now we're talking about multiple road closures ahead, folks. This is the XP migration conversation. The road is closed on April 8th, 2014. Windows XP, anything Server 03, Office 03, and when I say Server 03, by the way, our beloved, and I mean it sincerely, our beloved Small Business Server 2003, it is at the end of its extended support, and everybody in our space seems to have that one customer that's still running SBS 2003, and you know why? It's because it was perfect. It was that good, and I get that. Unfortunately or fortunately, now's the time to have a conversation with your customers about what are some next steps at the desktop with the application suite and the server side. Road closed ahead. Next slide, please. So we have the detour issue. What are you going to do? And I'm going to focus on XP migrations today. By the way, there will be a series of learning webinars for partners, and we will dig deep into the SBS 2003 and Server 03 migration opportunities. So fear not, that's coming. But basically, official statistics, I'm going to talk about that in a moment, show that the migration from Windows XP will, in the vast majority of cases, be to new endpoints, new devices, so laptops. Believe it or not, desktops are still huge. I was surprised by the internal research that I'm going to share with you. And then also devices. So you're seeing devices creep up in the marketplace. Now, we can have a talk about that. In fact, I do want to make mention that use the chat feature today, please, if you have questions, and I'll be happy to take the questions along the way. So this is the research slide that I wanted to show you. I live in Seattle, and I'm a friend of the family of Microsoft. So periodically, I'm asked by Microsoft, and it's an honor and a privilege to serve Microsoft as a vendor, or what we call contractor, to help them out with some of their needs. I did it in the late 90s. With Small Business Server. I did it for Gateway and the OEM team. I did it for HP mid-decade. And about 100 days ago, Microsoft reached out and asked if I was available to serve, I'll call it the White House. Would I be available to serve the White House? And fortunately, SMB Nation, a 14-year-old company, is run day-to-day by Jennifer Hallmark and Chris Bangs, who you heard earlier. So I had that opportunity to, in a sense, I must take a leave of absence, at least a couple days a week, and serve Microsoft OEM on the XP migration matter. And it's been thrilling, and I've learned so much. And so part of what I've learned is what you're reading about, the sheer magnitude of the opportunity. And that's kind of reflected here. This is just one measurement. There are multiple measurements out there, and if you want to track that, you can read my blogs at smbnation.com, and each week I post up more insights about that. Today I'll have a blog up a little bit later today where I interview Eric Townsend from Intel about vPro and some of the Intel ramifications with XP migrations. What I want to highlight here, We actually had one of our xpmigration.com participants reach out to me the other day, a gentleman who took the assessment, and he was concerned that we were maybe going to be promoting in-place migrations. And that's absolutely not true. I don't believe in in-place migrations with obsolete and legacy hardware running an obsolete and legacy operating system. I believe in new hardware, so you get a fresh start. I have issues with inheritance on settings at that level. I'm all about fresh starts. I personally believe it's over 80% of XP migrations will occur with new PC purchases. And legally, now this is a Microsoft slide, so to understand where this slide's coming from, but legally, you can only do a in-place migration if you're participating in volume licensing. And by the way, wink, wink, that's a little lecture nugget for the assessment that you need to pass over at XP Migrations to work with us. So if you have VL or volume licensing, you do have the right to do an in-place upgrade to 7 or 8. However, if you bought an OEM SKU or a retail SKU, you don't have that right. Now, do people do in-place migrations who bought OEM or retail? They do. They do. I'm just being pragmatic. They do, although that's not supported, and that's actually not cool. Let's move on. And again, any questions, please use the chat feature. So why would customers hire XP Migrations? So this speaks to the partners who are on the call today. We feel we have expertise in this area, and we can get you up to speed with additional and greater expertise. I've been thrilled by the experience base we have in our existing 40,000 SMB IT pros or partners who are part of the SMB Nation. I'm even more excited about the several hundred of you that have reached out in the month of August since we launched, and we had a silent launch in early August, and we've had several hundred of you sign up. And again, strangers are just friends that haven't met yet, and I'm thrilled by your experience base. You clearly know what you're doing, and within what we can do is make you a niche expert. As they say, there's riches in niches. So number one, expert talent, done. Number two, certified migration experts. So you do need to pass our assessment. I have some study tips in a moment. At our fall conference, our SMB Nation Fall Conference, which is October 10th through 12th, we have a migration pathway, and we will be releasing a master certified migration expert certificate program that includes class time. You've got to clock some hours in the lecture, and we're going to track that, and then you got to pass the second exam. We perform a background check, and I'm just going to be straight up with you. We do. And this is critical, had a former employee who used one of the popular online labor marketplaces where background checks weren't performed. And what do you know, we hired a writer who was wanted by the FBI. And I'll just leave it at that. But it's a true story, and it was a real wake-up call for us. Now, this individual didn't have access to our IT infrastructure and other critical business functions. This was a contract writer. By the way, brilliant individual, especially in the security field, IT security field. And the deeper and deeper and deeper we got into it after being contacted by the Washington Post, the more we understood that's exactly the way it works, is that these bad guys are brilliant. And we can't go there. So be advised, at our expense, we do run a background check on the talent that we put out on customer sites. We do 2 reference checks, so we're going to talk to you about some clients that you've had in the past that we can chat with about your demeanor, your personality, your skills, your technical skills, of course. We provide you a toolkit, an assessment tool that I think you'll like. It's a tool, by the way, that you can use for other clients above and beyond your work for XP Migrations. I understand as a partner, you typically have your own business concern and your own clients. That's great. Hey, go forth and multiply. The XP Migration situation is a blue ocean, so there's plenty for everybody, and what you gain from us, including the credential and the toolkit, you can use on your own, and I get that. we're going to have, we have ongoing training to just sharpen the saw and keep you posted on developments in the industry as we approach the April 8th deadline and beyond. And then we like to have fun. We like to have fun. So we have X points for both the talent, that's the partner, and the customer. And you can redeem your X points starting in September for merchandise. So how about a jobber headset? How about some other services and capabilities such as that? So we're pretty excited about, we consider ourselves a co-op, if you're familiar with REI or recreational equipment. REI has a dividend, and you typically are advised of that dividend at the checkout counter when you go to REI, and you can either pay for what you got or go get more. We want to have fun. And finally, 110% guarantee. We believe in what we're doing. We believe in our expertise. We believe in you. We believe in our ability to match you with the proper SMB for the XP migration opportunities, and we're going to guarantee that. So the customer is assured that our screening, our guarantee, our expertise all add up to a successful customer experience. I will go to the next slide, assessment secrets. Now I know a lot of you have joined today to learn more. And by learning more, that means how do I pass that assessment? Right now, I can tell you this, and thank you for those of you that have taken it, and thank you for those of you that have passed it. But I can tell you that the success rate is below 50% right now. It is a timed assessment. You have the opportunity to take it twice. With all due respect, if you can't pass it by the second try after you've seen it once and done some homework, and I understand that I'm all about education, trust me, then we have to have a different conversation as to whether being a certified migration expert is your first and foremost calling. So here's what I recommend. Number one, because it's a timed assessment, I recommend you go with your first answer and answer fast. So watch the clock. Number two, download and install the Windows 8 preview. Okay, get to know that. I've done it several times. I just hit a problem last weekend that I'm going to solve this weekend, and that concerns FireWire support, 1394 support, and Windows 8.1. So that's the kind of person we're looking for that's actually installed it and is geeking out on it. And before you know it, 8.1 will be to market. It's RTM. It's typically a 6-week window at Microsoft Redmond after RTM before it hits the OEM and the DISTI channel. Retail will opt and follow shortly thereafter. Hey, if I could have everybody put themselves on mute, please. Appreciate it. I know it's too exciting to get close to the weekend, but just hang on a little. That holiday weekend, hang on just a little while longer. But get to know 8.1, and I will have you know this, that we only talk about 8.1 here at XP Migrations at this point. We will not have a customer conversation or conversation with you about Windows 8. There's so many reasons why we won't do that. The political ramifications, the popularity of Windows 8. Windows 8 doesn't have a start button, yada, yada, yada. Folks, Windows 8.1 is here effectively, and we need to get you to know it, because by the time you're actually dispatched and doing the work, it will be in the channel. Now, that said, I'll talk about Windows 7 in just another point. Another little secret, another little hint is get to know the Windows XP page up on Wikipedia. You know, we want you, it's like I tell my staff in our staff meeting, if you don't know what we sell, SMB Nation sells content, events, media opportunities, visibility. In each staff meeting, we have a learning session. And my point is this, is if you don't know what we do, how can you do that for the customer? How can you expect the customer to know what we do? So little nugget there, print out, take a look at the XP page on Wikipedia and kind of go down memory lane. Understand the basic licensing for Windows 7. I gave you a little hint earlier about volume licensing, but I do want to talk about Windows 7 at this point. The majority of the requests we've received from customers over the last month start out, and correctly so, as going to Windows 7 when they migrate from XP. I get that. The cool thing is you have the, you saw the slide earlier, but you have the downgrade rights to go to 7. and then you can pop back up. So when the time is right. Discover Windows XP migration tools. I'm not going to tell you a whole lot here. I do want you to study. I'm not going to give you the answer to the quiz. Let me put it that way. But take a little bit of time out of your busy day to look at what Microsoft offers as migration tools and what are some of the third-party migration tools that are out there. So kind of get to know the community in the migration sense. Understand the workflow of the migration process. So, you know, we're kind of talking about Project Management 101 or MIS 101. What's the life cycle of an IT project? And then finally, stand by for future training webinars. We definitely have that commitment as we go forward with you to not only help solve the XP migration matter, but everybody makes money and, quite frankly, has a good time. It's good work. So we're going to jump into the credit card settlement action. And do we have our friend Robert Denise on the line? Robert?
I am here, Harry. How are you?
Hey, pretty good, pretty good. So, sir, it's raining in Seattle, which always makes me think it must be sunny down in Southern California where you are. Am I right today?
It is very hot and sunny today. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. Well, Robert, you know, this is one of these slides and this is one of these opportunities where it's probably best if I put the muzzle on and just stick to what I know to be true and my expertise. Sir, this is your expertise. What is the opportunity and why do we care?
Yeah, thank you, Harry. First of all, I think your slide is very accurate, and the one comment I will make is it is absolutely more than sofa change. Let me start by just giving you a little bit of background around the situation. For those that may or may not be aware of this, Visa and MasterCard, as well as a number of major banks, were accused of artificially inflating the interchange fee or the swipe fees that merchants, like many on this call, were charged for a long period of time. Rather than going to trial, they settled out of court in what has become a landmark class action settlement case for what we believe to be almost $7.5 billion. So if a business has accepted Visa or MasterCard credit or debit cards from the time period between January of 2004 to November of 2012, that business is eligible to collect a pro rata portion of this settlement fund. So our company was founded by experienced class action attorneys and entrepreneurs in order to help clients navigate through the complex class action settlement process. So we've got, very seasoned professionals on our team with expertise in obviously financial management, the use of technology, and others. And what we're doing is reaching out to the almost 8 million businesses in the United States that are eligible to recover their swipe fees in this class action settlement, and helping them by saving them time, minimizing the amount of internal resources necessary to put together what we call a perfected claim. And I'll get into that shortly, what I mean by that. But in essence, what we're doing is we're helping you file a claim, and unlike other class action settlements where you're automatically included in the class, in this particular case, you have to actually file a claim. So we have passed what is known as the opt-out date, where businesses can choose to not participate in this settlement action. And many of the largest retailers have done so, the Costco's, the Walmarts, the Targets of the world. And the reason they've done that is because they've actually decided to sue Visa and MasterCard or settle separately, because this claim is going to be paid on a pro rata basis, not on a proportional basis, and many of them, represent a sizable amount of money. So as a merchant, you only have two options now, and that's do nothing or file a claim and get what's really been set aside as your money. And if you do nothing, you're really making a choice to give your money to those that do file a claim, and many of them will be your competitors. We want you to make the easy choice, which is to file your claim, and that's why we created the program we did with SMB Nation.
Excellent. Well, Robert, let me just stop you right there. Let me send out a little note to people. Folks, I'm going to say it verbally, and I'm going to send out a note. Or Heather, Heather over in the control room, I see that you have control of the webinar. Could you send out a note to people, a chat note, to remind them to ask their questions via the chat feature? This is the one area I hope and desire and would expect we might have a couple of questions. Robert, these guys and gals, they got Windows XP migrations down. They know all that stuff. So hopefully we can get them excited. Let me, while you're formulating your questions and Robert catches his breath, what I want to do is maybe kind of put a wrapper around it as I understand it. So how many of us partners, our reseller practice, how many of us take credit cards? We do at SMB Nation. We've signed up. You know, I'm kind of thinking, I don't know, Robert, we'll see what the final settlement amount is, but steak dinner at El Gacho for the staff, ranging maybe a Victoria, Canada getaway. We'll see what that number is, but we're going to do something fun and take care of the people that take care of SMB Nation.
Hey, Harry, let me just say one thing to kind of preface or to support that remark. So, you know, many of us have received class action notifications in the mail, and if you're like me, you trade a few stocks every now and then. It seems to be fairly prevalent for those that trade stocks. But you have quite a bit of Microsoft folks on the phone. You may remember that Microsoft actually had a class action settlement years ago. And in that settlement, I personally received a $9 voucher to go buy some Microsoft products somewhere. Let me size this for you just so you can understand how important it is to businesses potentially. So if you as a business run $10,000 a month on Visa and MasterCard rails, and you take that number times, let's just say it's a theoretical 2% interchange rate, that's $200 a month times 109 months, so you would be filing a claim for potentially $21,800. And I know that there's many businesses out there in the SMB Nation family that run a substantially higher amount across the Visa and MasterCard rails on a monthly basis. So even if you only recover 10 cents on a dollar, this is a little bit more money than just the $9 check I so graciously received from Microsoft. And that's the kind of scale that we're talking about in terms of potential.
Absolutely. And one of the other points, and again, I'm going out on a limb here, but I'm also thinking about the customers that the partners on this call serve. So these guys and gals have 36 small business customers demographically. Robert, that's some. Now we're talking some real money, and that's doing right by your customer. How's that sound?
Yeah, and we've talked about this as a good faith gesture because what we're finding in reality is that many business owners, A, were not aware of the settlement opportunity, B, are not aware that they can file a claim to get their money back, and C, that they've assumed, if they were aware of it, that the process was too tedious or time-consuming, and that the settlement, like most, is just too complicated to really understand what's going on. The other thing that we found is, especially in the technology sector, is that a lot of participants on this call may have changed merchant providers 1, 2, and in some cases even 3 or 4 times. So to really submit a comprehensive, or what we call a perfected claim, you have to file a claim that includes all of your merchant information for the entire claim period of time. A lot of people don't have those merchant statements anymore. One of the nice things about the services that we provide is we don't necessarily need them. That information is actually part of the court record. We can absolutely create a comprehensive claim for every business that becomes a client of ours, with or without your merchant statements. Obviously, we would love to have them, but if you just have your merchant name and contact information as well as your ID number for each EIN that you own, we can absolutely create a comprehensive and perfected claim for each business owner out there.
So, Robert, we have a few questions. Why don't we jump on those? One relates to myself from Russell Cashin. You gave us some ideas of where to look for information for the test, but don't have a formal study guide. Russell, I can answer that. We have a study guide on the roadmap, and that's going to be more focused on our master certified migration expert certification. So great question, and I guess what we're trying to do with the initial assessment is to have you carry the water a little bit. We want to test your baseline knowledge. Understood that you're going to go out and do your own research. It's open book, but it is on a timer, and you get 2 times to take it. Now, at the master's level, we will have a study guide, and we're going for bear on that one. So that will be a true honor to earn that. Next question is from Michael Larkin. Michael says, what is the claim criteria? And you partially have answered that, Robert, but maybe you want to take that one on. What is the claim criteria?
Yeah, the claim criteria is very simple. If your company accepted Visa or MasterCard branded credit or debit cards for payment at any time between January of 2004 and November of 2012, regardless of whether you're still in business or not, you are eligible to file a claim to recover all of your adjudication or swipe fees back.
Perfect. Couldn't be any simpler. And then we have Mark Shapiro. Hi, Mark. I recognize your name. Does the settlement money only apply to swiped transactions, or are mail order, phone order transactions included?
Again, a swipe is just kind of a semantical term. If you have a .com business or you accept credit cards for payment online, those fees are also included. What's not included are ATM-based card fees, and there's actually potentially another settlement brewing in the courts for those fees, as well as one that we've been hearing about of late for those that accept American Express and Discover. And once you become a client of ours, Harry, we're going to communicate with all of the people that that are on the phone for any litigation that impacts their business. Just as an example, in the tech world last year, there were 2 settlements, one for those that purchased LCD panels for resale in their business, and another for those that purchased CRT-based products for sale in their businesses. And those 2 in aggregate were almost $1 billion as well, and I'm sure that many of the participants on the webinar probably could have benefited from those settlement monies as well. So.
Yeah, folks, we have another question, and I'm going to go ahead and give the first call for last call for questions. I know time is money. We're literally talking about it. Hey, speaking of which, Robert, speaking of time, how long does this form take to fill out?
I think it would take approximately 3 minutes for someone that has their, obviously, corporate information and EIN number. It's a really simple form. You can find it on the SMBNation.com website. If you just type in SMBNation.com/settlement money, as it says on the screen, you'll see a join button, and it's a very, very simple retainer agreement.
Okay, great. And I'll tell you, that's hey, 3 minutes. I mean, I know we've done it, and I understood it was pretty quick. The other thing would be, if you haven't mentioned, when you may not know, but what's the duration of this? I'm going to call it this offer, and then when might someone expect the money? Do you have a sense of the dates involved?
Yeah, so there's a couple key dates that are coming up, and what we found out from the court is that on September 12th in New York, there's going to be a fairness hearing. And that fairness hearing we expect to last approximately 3 or 4 days. And we believe that out of that fairness hearing, they're going to bless this settlement. What we've also found out is that they have not determined yet what the claim submission deadline is going to be. And if history repeats itself, it would probably be 30 to 45 days after that fairness hearing is what's likely going to happen. So, it's not something where everyone needs to rush to get it in, like studying for finals, but it is certainly imminent and several weeks away, and we're encouraging everyone to get the process started as quickly as possible. And then in terms of payout, there's actually going to be two payouts. One that we expect relatively soon, probably by the end of the year. We think there'll be some Christmas money. And then there's a second portion of this fund that's being created between the time periods of January 29th and March 31st of 2014, where Visa and MasterCard are actually taking 10 basis points off of every transaction between that time period and creating a second fund, which is where we came up with an estimate of approximately $7.25 to $7.5 billion. We don't know what that second fund is going to be, but we expect that to be paid out around the middle of next year as well. So anyone that's a client in this action will have two checks, one we expect at the end of the year and one we expect in the middle of next year.
There you have it. Hey, I have another question related to you. This is a fair question. What are the fees Robert is charging for his service? From Jeff Victor. That's a fair question. Robert, how does this work?
Yeah, so there's several companies out there that are contingent firms like ours. The market rate for businesses that provide services like ours is around 35 to 40%. What Harry and I have done is put a special program together where we're going to do this for any SMB Nation member for 30% of what we recover for each merchant. So if we recover nothing, you don't pay any fees at all. So there is no upfront fee to work with us. And again, just to kind of recap what we do for your business, we want to make sure that you ensure that you receive the maximum amount of money that's owed to you by perfecting your claim. We'll actually get all the required historical data to prove that your business is eligible and, again, prepare a valid and requisite claim with all the supporting documentation. We want to make sure that we get your claims in before the deadline, and we'll continually repeat or report to you any settlement opportunity that may impact your business from this day forward once you become a client.
There we go. So, Robert, why don't we do this, because I'm just mindful of everyone's time, and I think you've done a masterful job of explaining it. So thank you so much for dialing in from sunny Southern California. And
thank you, Harry.
Absolutely. And folks, once again, thank you for attending this third quarter briefing from SMB Nation. We snuck it in before the Labor Day weekend in the USA. If you're in North America, enjoy what will, we're starting to turn the corner on summer. I get that. So enjoy a nice long weekend and have a great time, and we'll all get super busy starting next Tuesday. Thank you very much for joining us. You'll receive a follow-up email and a link to this webinar that's being recorded, and it'll be posted up. Have a great, great day and a great holiday weekend. Goodbye.